Should you put your MSP pricing on your website so anyone can see it? That is what we're covering in today's video, the pros and the cons and some important information that you need to take into consideration before you decide on what is right for your business. My name is Harrison Barron from growth-generators.com. We help MSPs with sales training and marketing. Before I get into that, I do have to mention a couple quick things, as always. Number one, there's a masterclass down below. If you have not taken it already, it will dramatically change your MSP business only for the better, covering crucial things that you're probably missing and helping you make more money. Additionally, other than that, number two is you got to go through and check out the MSP Discord. It's located at growth-generators.com/Discord. And come and hang out. We just did a whole, I think we had like 20 or 30 people end up coming and hanging out for the night, and it was great live Q&A. You can come hang out with us. It is a super, super supportive community. It is completely free. I don't even ask for your email address. Come in, hang out, ask questions, and be a part of a fantastic growing community. So let's talk about the pros, the cons. Should you not post your pricing? Because this is a super highly debated topic when it comes to what's the right answer. There's a lot of people I've spoken to that are like, my price is the price and that's it. And I've spoken to a lot of people too that are like, I would never let anyone know my pricing because I don't want my competitors to know. I don't want my customers to know. And sometimes some of my customers have different pricing. So what's the right answer? Well, after going through dozens and dozens of websites, having tons of conversations with many of you guys, other businesses, and boiling it down to what I really see and I've seen in the industry for a very long time, hopefully you get the information in this video to know what is right for you. Because truthfully, I don't think there's actually a right or wrong answer. It's actually what is right or wrong for you and your business. So let's talk about the pros, because there are pros to displaying pricing on the website and there's pros to keeping that hidden. Some of the pros to displaying your pricing is it's fully transparent. And I'm going to share my screen right here and I'm going to pull up a website that I've been on quite a few times, CyberOptic, and it's the best MSP websites. Now I've gone through and I just went through the first 3 or 4 of them, and you'll start to see like TechMD, there is no pricing. Frontline EMS, nothing. There's no pricing up here. But when we get to MSP.exosource, there is a pricing option up here. And one of the pros that I think is really, really big and kind of huge is you have a nice pre-qualifier, right? You can see, hey, for 10 computers, 10 users, 1 server, $1,050. That's really not that bad. You add this, I gotta say, I absolutely do love the way that this looks. This is probably one of the best executions of pricing I've seen so far. And you could go through and you could adjust. Maybe you have, I don't know, let's say 25 computers, you have 25 users, and let's say, 2 servers. Can we notch that sucker up? There we go. 2 servers. You want managed antivirus, advanced security. Well, maybe not. That's a little expensive. And then cloud backups. And that's the beautiful part about it, is a customer can know exactly what their price is actually going to be right off the bat. That is a huge pro for the customer, and it has full transparency when it comes to actually having your prices out there. And the nice part is when this person goes through this, they're going to be able to say, oh, it's $28.45. This number actually works out for my budget. Ring, 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 ring. And they're going to call you if that number actually works. That's the really nice part about it, is that customer gets to see that number long before you go through the long sales process. You go through the questions, you find the pain. What do they actually have? But here, and I'm going to cover the cons in a second here, but that is one of the biggest, in my opinion, pros, is the customer, the people that are going to reach out to you after you have this pricing on there. You know that it's a layup. They already know the pricing. They just want to make sure that you're a good fit. And as long as you don't blow that meeting, it's kind of a done deal at that point. So now let's talk about some of the pros of keeping your pricing hidden, because I know that that's what a lot of us do. One of the pros of keeping that hidden is you get to see a lot. And when you go there and you actually get to be in that meeting, you have 2 eyes. You get to look around. You get to see. You get to touch. You get to smell. You get to really see, who am I dealing with? is this an environment that I'd really like to deal with? Or is it an environment that you're going to have to pay a pretty hefty tab because I don't want to deal with your stuff kind of client? Where pricing transparency, they might call and say, hey, I looked at it, it says $28.45, just like I had on my screen. Then you're in the meeting, you're like, oh my goodness, right? And you could jack that price all the way up for that either outdated fee or know that there's going to be a project right off the bat. So there's a couple big pros that you kind of get to keep that in the back pocket and pull the card when you really need to pull the card. That's the real benefit. They don't know. They don't know what it's going to be. You get to complete your entire sales process, the entire thing, and then present them with a price at the end. And that sales process, assuming you have a good one, is going to find you're going to qualify the client. You're going to make sure that you can figure out, hey, are they in enough pain? Are they ready to make a decision? Is it an environment you want to work with? All of those are yes. Boom, you could present them, in this case, an old piece of mail, but you could present them with a document that says, that's the proposal, and that's how much things actually cost. That is one of the biggest pros of not advertising your pricing. So those, in my opinion, are probably the two biggest ones. Yeah, there's some other pros too, like it's nice to be able to see somebody's pricing and go on there, but there's a lot of cons that come with that. And there's also pros of keeping that in, not mentioning the price, and people have to, consult you, and they get to learn about you too. That's a nice big pro too. They get to learn about you instead of only relying on your website, especially if you don't have any website experience or less website experience than the next person. So now that we've kind of covered in my opinion, the two biggest pros, because in my opinion, the sales process is, you get to go through a solid sales process, you are killing it. So let's talk about the cons, because I think a lot of us are really interested in hearing what the cons are. And there's a lot, but there's also not a lot of cons. It's kind of like a catch-22. Just as many pros as there kind of are cons. And depending on how you look at it, one might be better for you than the other. So one of the cons of having this pricing calculator is kind of like what I mentioned. One, this absolute pain in the butt website. I'm just kidding. It is a nice website, but the scrolling feature stinks. But the con is, if you do get into an environment that you don't want to work in, you're like, oh my God, this server is from 1998 and I am in so much hot water if I got to do work on this thing. Well, they know the price, and that price that you're looking at, $28.45, might not be the same price that you should actually be charging, because they're using Pentium processors. They have 4 gigs of RAM. They have, they have Cat 4 internet or Ethernet cables. They have a unmanaged switch that they're running at. And you're like, oh, this is so bad that they need to spend a ton of money to even get up to the price that is on the computer. Now, all of a sudden, you have a customer who's like, well, you put a price calculator on there. That's what I am expecting to pay. Why is it not that amount? And you're like, dude, it's because you haven't spent you haven't spent any money on technology in 15 years. What am I going to do? Nothing. I can't do anything because it's super old. And yeah, if you had updated machines, I could do that, but you can't. And that's the biggest con about pricing is like, yes, that's the price for the right customer. Little asterisk right there. It would be the price if you had some halfway decent computers, you had a halfway updated server, this server maybe was backed up, you have some halfway decent equipment in your server rack. Then all of a sudden things are like, oh, okay, that would make sense. But you don't want to go into an environment where you're like, what did I get myself into? This is not what I signed up for. This is not the piece of paper that I thought I was going to be delivering. Like, that's gone. Can't have that anymore because that price is not the price that I would have given that person. That's the big con with having transparent pricing. One of the other big cons too is, and if you're worried about this, I don't particularly tell people to worry about this, but if you're worried about this, your competitors get to see your pricing. Now, some people care, some people don't care. It's just something to consider. Anybody gets to see your pricing. People know exactly how much it actually costs. if you are going against other people or an RFP, they know your numbers, probably like the back of their hand. So if the customer is buying on price and price alone, which if they're looking at the numbers, it's going to make for a much more challenging conversation right off the bat. So now that we've covered the cons of transparent pricing and posting on your website, let's talk about the cons of not showing your pricing. Well, one of the cons that I keep seeing over and over and over again is customers or potential customers just saying, I actually don't know how much this costs. You know that a car costs maybe like 25 to a nearly endless amount of money. But most cars, I would say, cost between $25,000 and $65,000-ish. Seems to be like a pretty fair range. We as consumers know that because we're exposed to it all the time. But businesses, on the other hand, are not exposed to that all the time. So it is not uncommon for a new business or a business to see you and talk to you and they don't know your pricing, and you go through your whole spiel, you spend all the time, you go through that nice, beautiful server rack, all this stuff, and you say, okay, great. And I only have half this letter here, but you say, hey, that's your pricing. And they're like, whoa, that's a lot of money, because they didn't know how much it was going to cost previously. And now, even if you went through the absolute best sales process and you're going straight through, they still don't know. Yes, there's sales tactics. You could do bracketing and all this kind of stuff. But you drove there. You met with the person. You probably you went into the server closet, talked to other employees. And then you got to the proposal. You send them, you deliver your proposal. You never want to send a proposal. You always want to deliver it either by hand or right before a Zoom call. And they look at it and they go, that's expensive. That was not what I was expecting you to put down on this piece of paper. And they have no idea. And you might even actually be a fairly priced competitor. But because the customer has never seen the price before, they have no idea what to actually base it off of. So that's one of the biggest cons with pricing. The other con with pricing, and I don't think many of you guys are going to do this, but I do see it happen, is you changing the pricing based on the customer, which, yes, there is 100% justification for charging more money, especially for really bad environments, or that pain in the butt client that you're like, I really don't want to do this, but hey, if they're willing to spend enough money with me, I will happily do that. I will scrub their toilet bowl with a toothbrush if they're going to pay me enough money. Absolutely. But you don't want to get caught with your pants down and give people crazy different pricing, because typically, business owners hang out with other business owners, whether that's their local chamber of commerce, their local business networking group, their local meetup, whatever it might be, even on Facebook groups. It is not uncommon. And people talk, whether it's by this little device, whether on a desktop, social media, whatever it may be. And you don't want somebody to go, you're spending $900 a month? That's crazy. Or they're charging you $900 a month because they're charging me $2,200 a month, and we have the exact same number of people in the company. What's going on here? And then all of a sudden, you get somebody that's really happy about how much money that you're charging them. Maybe they have the perfect environment and they're super easy. And then you have another client who happens to hang out with them, and they're the nightmare client that you're like, yeah, you got to pay a lot of money for me to deal with your problems. They talk, and one of them is pissed at you. Now, I don't know 100% with certainty, and I don't think anybody will ever know. I come from a restaurant background. In the restaurant world, an unhappy customer tells 11 people about a negative experience they had. That's a massive amount of money scaled across, because then those people tell it, oh yeah, Harrison said this restaurant's not that great, and it keeps kind of traveling. When somebody has a fantastic experience, they tell 3 people. You have to bring in significantly more happy people than upset people. And by you charging different pricing and not being transparent on your pricing, you could run into this situation. Now, 100%, you should be charging more money for those pain-in-the-butt clients. But, big buts, you can't get carried away. And that's a big con, is people are like, well, this is a layup, or I know that they're going to be willing to spend a ton of money with me. And they probably will. And they might be a really happy customer for a long time. But all it takes is one night out with their friends, other businesses. They end up talking about your company and they're like, oh, we use this. Oh my God, we use this person. Oh, how much are you guys paying? Oh, we pay this much. It comes up in conversation. And don't kid yourself to say it's not going to happen to me. I promise you it's going to. It's just a matter of when. It's not a matter of if. That's not the conversation you want to have the next morning with them. I promise you that one. So that's one of the big cons of it, is that sticker shock. They really don't know. And yes, you have the ability to adjust, but most people typically get a little greedy, and you got to be really, really careful with that. I am in favor of both. One of the other kind of secret sauces that I want to give you before you leave is it's a lot about execution. You can 100% advertise your price online. There's nothing wrong with that. But you got to have a fully dialed in website. If we go back to this, these are some of the better websites out there. I'm just trusting this article, but I've gone through them. There's some things that I would 100% change, but these are really polished websites. Every single one of them. Frontline, or Frontline MS. Sorry, not EMS. The fire department in me is kicking in here. But like, it's a good looking website. There's a couple things that I would probably change. Even this one. What we do, our method, the benefits, the whole nine. They're great looking websites. But a lot of it comes down to the execution of it. If you're going to put your price out there, wear it like a badge of honor. I'm so serious. You work really hard for your clients. And you have to structure your entire website kind of about justifying that price. But when you do, and it's done really, really well, it's so easy to have that price on there. You could also have the flip side of things where, hey, if you're not in that position, the nice part about not advertising your price is it puts you in the driver's seat. You get to go there. You get to talk to the client. You get to look. You get to smell. You get to see what the office is like. You get to see everything. That's the beautiful part about it. And you're there in person. It's much more challenging for the customer to not know you, like you, and trust you, because they're gonna know you. They're gonna talk about their business and they're gonna talk to you. They're gonna like you because you're already there in person. They wouldn't, if they didn't like you, they wouldn't have invited you in. And hopefully you're kind of building that bonding and rapport. And then they're gonna trust you because you're gonna say all the fancy buzzwords that they probably want to hear. So when you do actually hand them the proposal, and now my ripped piece of mail, it's much easier for them to say, oh, that's a lot of money. But I really like this guy. He was talking about my servers. He did say I have to invest some money, but he seems like a nice guy. He seems like he knows what he's doing. And then all of a sudden, you're there in person. They get to experience exactly who they're going to be working with, who's going to be taking their money every month. And then it makes that person, and it kind of puts them in a position of, did I like them enough to shell out the money, or did I not? And if they didn't, that's fine. And if they did, they're going to come back with their John Hancock on the proposal, and you're good to go. That's the benefit. And that's why I encourage a lot of MSPs. There's no right or wrong answer across the board. Putting your stuff online, 100% fine. But you got to have a fully dialed in website and be super confident in your pricing. And if you're not that, I would advise not doing that. Once again, what is right for you is totally up to you. But if you're not super confident in your website, the way your messaging is, how you justify the value of all of those things, then not advertising your pricing allows you to be there in person, in the driver's seat, having that conversation, and really going through the entire sales process, making sure that person feels the pain not in a bad way, but it's part of your sales process. There's a reason you're there. You're there to solve some kind of problem because they have some kind of problem, which is causing them pain. So you could be transparent. You could not be transparent. There's two totally different strategies. There's pros to both and there's cons to both. What's right for you can only be determined by yourself. You just have to figure out, do you have that super beautiful website with the structure to make somebody believe that your pricing is absolutely fantastic and justified? And if it's not that, then wait on it. You can do that down the road. That's okay. And between now and then, don't advertise your pricing. Have a contact us now. And you could put in little options. And then book the meeting and go there and touch everything and experience the environment and then give them a price. A fair, honest price. Because nobody likes getting raked over the coals. And All fat pigs get slaughtered. I will die by that. It is so true. Provide a fantastic service at a fair price, enough that you can make money, but don't go crazy with it. Or if you're going to go crazy, make it the most crazy. That video is coming soon. If you want to know how to price your MSP services, that video is coming in the very, very near future. I am looking forward to creating it with maybe a little free pricing calculator in there. Shh, I didn't say nothing. I ain't no snitch. I love you guys. I appreciate that out of you guys for hanging out with me. I hope this video helped you. I genuinely do, because this is a hot topic of conversation. If you have questions, please leave them in the comments below. Let me know if you are putting your pricing, whether you keep it hidden, you put it on your website, how you plan to attack it. Maybe there's a pro and con that I missed. I'd be very, very curious to hear about it, because this is a super highly debated topic in the MSP world. I love the heck out of you guys. I appreciate you guys, as always, for checking out these videos, and I'll see you guys on the next one. By the way, bunch of helpful links down below, including the masterclass, including the Discord, and some other ones. I'll see you guys later.